That just means I know many of you are really excited to be building this business. I'm really excited because we just got back from our ambassador trip and to hear the vision of where we're going. I mean, I've been in this company for 13 years and I'm excited about it, but I don't think I've ever been more excited than today about where we're going in our future. Not only because we're helping so many people, but we're also able to create this income along the way. Absolutely, everything falling into place. So many of you coming in from other companies, and just to hear you guys talk about the great test results and what we're doing, and to feel the welcoming family feeling that we have. So, so great to have each and every one of you on here. I'm excited for today. Not only because we're coming into high season where direct sales usually grows, but where Zinzino each and every year I've been involved has had its peak. And today we have the founder of the company on. He is five-star global president. I'm excited for what he's going to be able to. I don't think some of us can get any more excited, but we're here. So let's welcome him on here, the five-star global president, our founder, Orjan Saele. Hello from all of us, Orjan.
Hi, Carla. Good to see you and good to see everyone. Great having you on today. How was the ambassador trip, Carla?
You can't explain this because I've been on many director trips, which is great to have that extra leadership there, where you get an extra level of training, that extra level of feeling like royalty feeling. But the ambassador trip was just next level of that. Um, it was my first ambassador trip, so I was honored to just be in the room with the greatest of the great. I really love the leadership that is there. And actually, I think what I can feel the most is the development that you get to be a leader. And you could feel those people there have been through things to get to where they are. So I was honored to be in the room. I was honored to get the training. I was honored to be experiencing those things with everybody, and probably just the extra time that you had, the intimacy of the group. As you heard so many people say, it was just this family feeling. So Zinzino is that kind of a company. I mean, I was lucky to get Zinzino, as people have said. If this is your first company, you're very lucky. So I feel extremely lucky. But when they're telling us all of what they have experienced before, um, and how Zinzino is just that company that is people that are coming, it's their final company. People that have came to Zinzino, uh, at 65 saying, this is my last company, or I've left a company to come here, or I'm just excited about the future of how much impact we're making. So to me, I know I've been in 13 years and everyone says, Carla, you have a lot of energy, but I have more energy now than I have probably ever had. So I'm looking forward to this period of time, these next 90 days that we're going to be running. I've got personally, we have 10 groups running in my team. So here we are, Orion. I'm ready. Let's go.
It was good to be on the trip. We had as many participants on that trip as we did on director trip in 2016. And you were on that director trip, weren't you, Carla?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Was that your first one, or did you come a couple of years before that?
I started in, I had been in a couple years at that
Okay, okay, very good. But it was a great feeling, especially the excitement for me was to chat with the different people in the team and the plans that they have both for September and obviously also for October and November. We're celebrating 20 years and everyone knows that. Uh, but sitting down with people and getting surprised about the big plans that they have was really exciting. And we've got some young people on the team, and some I see around here. I see some young people on the pictures. There is 260 people here. So I don't see everyone. And then I see some people that are more like my age. And then I see some people that could potentially be older than me. And the people that could potentially be older than me, that's the ones that maybe this message is the most for. Okay. And they could be potentially my age as well, but sitting with people that are 25 years old, so 25 years younger than me, and then they've been in the business for 4 years, which means that this is pretty much the only thing that they've done. And then knowing that in the first 6 to 12 months, they accomplished just a few customers and a couple of people in their team. And then sitting in 2025 on the ambassador trip and looking me in my eyes and saying that I think that this month we're going to be, so talking September, we're going to be 600, maybe even 700,000 credits. And then November, I'm going to for sure have my first million credits month. That's pretty impressive. And this is where I look at you and you and you and every one of you that are like my age and above. How many people at 21 have you ignored so far from this business? Or at 22 or at 23 or at 24 or 25? And I've had this feeling over the last couple of years that the next generation kind of like I don't know. I turned 50 this summer, so maybe this makes me sound like awfully old in this case, and I don't like that. I aim to have a biological age of 35 and stay there as long as I can. I do not want to age another day, but I've got a feeling that there is a next generation coming into the business that is going to bring it to a different mindset, a different level of growth, a different level of expectation for what we're going to be able to do. And I think that's, to me, very, very encouraging. Then I can go back in time, and I was 17 when I first joined the business. So didn't have any experience, didn't have any education, and I did not get any results. Like literally, first 2 years, I was only able to get customers, retail customers. And then after 2 years, I got my first sign up. That was the first time I had somebody in what we define as a downline. So first person in, and then it took me nearly one more year before I got my second person in. So that's 3 years into it. And any sane person would quit by then and be long gone. And I was kind of trying to quit. And then I got a team of, after 4 years, I had a team of 17 people. I think it was 492 or 96 customers that I had in my team. And that's when I went, I don't know if I'm made to do this. So I questioned myself and I actually quit for a little while, but then I gave it one more try, uh, where I had a different attitude. Maybe I had a different ambition. Maybe instead of what brought me in originally was to kind of prove people that it didn't work. Maybe my ambition when I got back in was that I wanted to prove that it did work. And then by the time I was 25, we'd built a business of, I don't know if I could say hundreds of thousands of people, but the business brought in, uh, I think, 8,000 new people per month at the point where I was at the peak in my 25th year. And then during the next upcoming years, we would then eventually bring in a few 100,000 people in our country. And that was in my 20s. So I think for everyone that looks to make a major, major, major breakthrough, obviously continue with everything that you're doing. So uh, I was just on the trip. One of our leaders from the US was on the trip together with Karla, Larry Raskin, and he does not want me to speak about how old we are, but I can tell you that is a fit, ripped man, like unbelievable, and he has got an enthusiasm level that is beyond anything. So obviously, and I actually said this to somebody else that I had a coaching session with earlier today, that I'd sponsor people like that every day of my life, and I do anything to get them into the business because they've got energy, got the experience, got the context. It's amazing. Okay, so that covers that. Obviously, I continue to do what I do. So age doesn't matter if somebody was thinking that age doesn't matter. But even though Larry is absolutely brilliant, and I'm going to make a comparison that even Larry will agree with, maybe in this case, if had a choice, Larry or Hilda at 20. That's my wife, for those that doesn't know that. Larry knows that. Then obviously it's a hard choice, but since it's my wife, I have to go with my wife. Do you agree with that? And you understand the point that obviously you're not going to get the same result when you're going for a younger generation that you are getting when you're going for a more experienced generation in the short term. But Hilda today does pretty okay. I think that she proved herself, built a global network, took some time. She had 76 presentations in her first, I believe it was 6 months, and she got seven yeses, and she had three of them return. So she was left with a downline of four after that first initial launch of her business. And I met her just after that. Luckily, I didn't need to stay through the entire mystery stage of that. So we started dating just after that. Can you guys believe that? It's a while back, it's 25 years ago. And then she kept going, she kept developing, and she got results. So if you're in your 50s, or if you're in your 30s or 20s or 40s or 60s or 70s or 80s uh, or 90s, I don't know if you have anybody that is above 100 in our business. We will soon have a whole bunch of them because with what we're doing, we're keeping people healthy and young. So soon will be a bunch of them, but we don't have too many yet. Uh, Everything is about the decision that you're willing to develop into a better version of you that will get the results today that you couldn't get yesterday. And the source of this happening comes from, and you could use very many different words about it, but it comes from ambition, that you're hungry, that you want something more. And then it needs to raise to a level. So your hunger, your ambition, or your decisiveness, or attitude have to rise to a level where you become what I call all in. And all in is obviously an expression from poker. And since I just finished actually watching a podcast, not a podcast, but actually X uh, clip from the All In Summit that is going on these days. That it was a interview with Elon Musk on the All In Summit, which was kind of interesting. And the finishing thoughts that he had. Okay, so bear with me here. The finishing thoughts that Elon Musk had, there was like it's worth watching it because what he is doing, they went through his like basic 4 or 5 main companies and talked about the revolutionary things that he was doing in each one of those companies, and just having him talk about the next generation of the humanoids was pretty interesting. What was the biggest problem with making a humanoid, a human robot? And he's talking about the hands. So you'll get it when you watch it. And then he talked about a new update for the microchip for the Tesla, where there is the microchip version 5, there is the 4 that they have in the Teslas now, and how much better will the 5 be? And it's 40 times better. So 4 to 5 is X 40 times, which is kind of like where you go from self-driving being 3 to 4 times safer than me driving the car, to then just being like insanely much safer than anything that we've ever done before in our life. So he covered a lot of stuff like that, which is absolutely mind-blowing, you know? That's like mind-blowing. You're there and you're thinking, I tried to be a visionary, okay, but I don't even come close to that level. But then the finishing thought is that they said, so uh, on Mars, how many years do you think it is before you have like a self-sustaining life at a new planet? And then he does some calculations about different sequences of this, and then he concludes with 25 years. Uh, First of all, it's called the All In Summit. Second, I think that guy is all in no matter what he does. They asked him about how it was to be in Washington, and he said it was an interesting experience and that the government didn't want fixing. And that was like kind of his take on which my mom served 12 years in our parliament. She served 37 years of politics. I think that that's the most sane comment that I've heard so far this year, that government don't want fixing. That's my experience through my mom for all of those years where she tried to fix the government, and she would be as frustrated every single time because even if it's like logic, everyone agrees upon it, they can never pull it off and make it happen. Like, and some people point out Norway as an example, as a country. We had an election 2 days ago, and for me, that was a horrible event, to put it that way. So we have our problems as well. Um, but when I think about that, 25 years, we've set out and said that we want to get to 100 million customers. And that's on this planet. And we're asking them for $50 a month for a product that is completely life-changing to them. That's pretty easy compared to having to develop life or interplanetary life and having them self-sufficient so that they don't need any contact with the Earth anymore within 25 years. Uh, and what would happen if we became, and I'm talking about you and me and everyone, what would happen in your business if you got such an all-in idea about what you're doing? That you kind of, you're not putting aside your life. I mean, he even got to talk about how he likes having lots and lots and lots of children. So he's got more children than most people that I know about today. He's got so many children that I don't know how many children he has. So he's doing that, and he's doing it in a very different way than I envision getting it. So I'm not supportive of anything of that, but he's got an all-in attitude. And I think that that was my big change at 21, from being a complete failure. So, and when I say failure, take that with the right expression. I wasn't succeeding on reaching the targets I was setting. That's how I define failure. So failure is not you not achieving as far as somebody else. That's how they make you fail in school and in sports and so on. When I talk about failure, I'm talking about you're not achieving the targets that you set yourself. That's failing because targets that you set yourself, I 100% believe that you can reach. You could not set that target if you didn't have it in you to reach that target. That's what I fundamentally believe. But if we got, or actually at 21, I think that what happened was that I went to really committing 100% to reaching those targets and being willing to learn, to adapt, to change, to grow, to do it in a different way so that the most important was the progress, not my opinion, not my voice, not the way I used to do it, but the most important was to get ahead and get the result. And I think that when we get that kind of an attitude, no matter which age we're at, we're going to get just amazing results with a business. That matched up with input from people that have done it before you, where you apply what they think is necessary for you to have that breakthrough that you're looking for. It could be very powerful. It could be an amazing combination. I got the question a little bit about who was my mentors, and I went through some of them. And in the reflection of that, I reflect on uh, what did I pick up? What did I learn? What did change everything from me way, way back in time? And I did present it already. I think on the last call we did have Karla said this will not be any news for anybody. It, and I have talked about it on, I think, every director call we have had since that. So for directors that are here, there is no news. And I see Brad here. Hi, Brad. Good to see you. Uh, he 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 is all in with me on that concept, to put it that way. We're texting about it, and I know Karla is promoting it. But I think that what changed me the most is just a little tiny little slogan. Then I've adjusted it a little bit, brought more, I would say, in my opinion, wisdom to it. But the tiny little slogan I heard was two people a day brings freedom my way. So if you went all in enough to where you would talk to two people a day, freedom would come your way. Now, that's a little bit 90s expression. I get it. It's a little bit too much, especially in Europe. That's like a little bit too much over the top promise. So I've taken it down to say that if you contact two people a day, 5 days a week for 90-day periods per year, that's more than enough. Because in my opinion, that is like a ton more. Actually, not a ton more, but it's just what's needed to really make that progress that you want. But it literally takes all the problems away. So what are the problems we have with getting to 100 million customers? Obviously many. But if we take it down to the basic principles, first principles, what is the challenge that a brand new partner has? What do they have a challenge with? Well, we could say many things. It's not that difficult to learn the product. I think we can learn that pretty quickly. That's not the biggest challenge. There is some things, obviously, on compensation plan that takes some time to learn, and there is a few things that navigation, back office, and so on. But I do think that 99.8% kind of gets the most basic needs for those things. And the last point two can get help from an upline. So there isn't any challenges in that is unsolvable. So what is it that people struggle with then? Well, it's very simple. In 30 days, they want to have 4 customer points. In 60 days, they want to have 2 enrollees. In 90 days, they want to have their 2 enrolled too. And in 120 days, they want to have 10 customer points. And then in the first year, they want to have a team and get a refund for their kit. And they would like their two that they sponsor to follow through on the same, and the four that they sponsored to follow through on the same, and the eight that they sponsored follow through on the same. Agree? That's kind of like if we could just solve that, we'd be fine. 25 customers in a year and two people that are recruited that does the same. And yes, by law of returns, probably we need to say that, well, to get two really committed people that didn't just buy from you, but you actually wanted to join your team, there is probably needing to be 6 to 10 people that you sponsor before you really have those two that says, I am all in, I want to do the business. So there is going to be a little bit more sponsoring than two, just realistically. But if you contact two a day, so you book 2 meetings a day, 5 days a week. After the first week, we have 10 people to talk to. If you talk to them on your own and you bring in an upline to talk to them, I see it as very likely that we will be able to somehow land, at least within the two first week with a follow-up, that we would be able to land 4 customer points. And then the next week, we talk to two new a day, 5 days, that's not a 10. So if we didn't land the 4 customer points in the first week, we would for sure land it in the second week, especially if you apply the principle of growing, learning, adjusting, changing. Because if what you do doesn't work, you should immediately change your tactics. So if the upline is doing horrible meetings for you, get another upline. If the upline above is doing horrible meetings from you, get to yet another upline. Eventually, you will get up to Karla or Chaba. Hi, Chaba is logging on from Hungary here. His face just popped up. Or you get to Donna, or you get to anyone, or Patty. You get to Patty, like she will be able to bring in those customers with you, no questions asked. Third week, talk to 10 more people. So at this point, you either go to 10 customers, but between those 30 people, you will already start doing some business meetings. Fourth week, you take to 10 more people, and you're going to be sponsoring your two first people and have your 10 customers. By the end of the second month, you're at least going to have 5 more customers, maybe 10 more customers, and you're easily going to have 2 more, 3 more, maybe even 4 more recruits. End of the third month, you're going to actually have the 25 customers and probably 10 personal signups in the business. So a little habit of writing down the evening before. So because sometimes like we get so busy with life, and I've got 3 kids, and I'll tell you, it's busy. I've got a busy job. I've got lots of people around the world that's trying to get a hold of me. Some of them are pretty frustrated because it's hard to get a hold of me. I did tell one of them, I'll maybe call you after this meeting or a little bit later, just because it's busy. I've got, let me see here, uh, 346 unanswered WhatsApp messages right now. It's a few hours, maybe a day, 2 days, 3 days to get through to answer, just answering them. If I did nothing else, 64 unanswered text messages, and my email inbox is in the multiple thousands. I didn't get to do my emails for the last 2 days. I was so busy, so I'm like way, 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 way behind. On top of that, all of a sudden, Gabriel wants to be picked up from tennis. I had to run over to the tennis place, and Then we have my mother-in-law visiting. That's a pleasure. It's a blessing. She made dinner today, but I couldn't make it for dinner because there was some things going on with a meeting that I had to have, and then I've got my two girls, and they come, Daddy, 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 can you put us to bed tonight? And then I say yes, and then that's great, and I read to them, and then we lay down, and I'm a little bit tired, and then I fall asleep, and I lose an hour, and then I'm like way behind, you know. Life is busy. But if we have a system and a reward system to keep us on track, uh, then most of the time get through what's really important to us in the next day. So if you write down the six most important things to do tomorrow for achieving those ambitions that you have, and then you at least try to get the top two or three things done as quickly as possible, and just sometimes you'll get through all six. Most of the times you won't get through all six of them, and that's okay. And then between those six things, the first point is that I will contact, and you have two names written down. Then there is an immediate reward the next day when you contact them. And then you do this 5 days a week. And yes, if you're short on time for your fast starts, you're allowed to do 4 a day, 6 a day, no problems. If you feel that you're in like full-time mode and you don't have a job on the side or anything like that, or a full-time job, yes, you do more contacting than that if you need the money. So absolutely. But in general, including myself and every top leader in the team, uh, two contacts a day, 5 days a week, 90 days at a time, two times a year. If you do that over a 10-year period of time, I envision it to be very hard not to hit a presidential level in our compensation plan. Now, it would take a lot of discipline to do that, but it would be an enormous reward to do it because it just takes away all the things that makes the business hard. I see Leanne here, and if I was going to interview her on In Your Freedom team, so we call the Freedom team the team that is not growing as fast as we want to in her big team. She's got a president already, so she's doing fine, doing amazing in that sense, have a super, super big business. But I mean, most of the time we spend with people on the struggle to get to 4 or 10 customers or to 25 customers and to sponsor new people so that their business keeps on moving. And if we don't have the habit and if we don't teach it, and if we're not ourselves all in on this contacting process, we're going to spend so much more time on the struggle of getting people over that they don't get the result. Actually, we're going to spend a lot more time on that than if we contacted two and the people in the team contacted two. So this is a proactiveness that is going to change your career completely, just like it did mine. So I went from being the guy that couldn't sponsor anybody, couldn't build a team in 4 years, and then with a few adjustments, one of them being an all-in attitude, and the other one was really radically starting to contact people and getting over my own fear of those things and having a duplicatable system in our team for doing the same. I became 4 years later a 25-year-old that had a average check of a lot of money per month. I feel embarrassed to say how much I was making because it was in the millions at 25 years of age with over €1 million in income that year, uh, which was an incredible thing. But looking back, it wasn't like, yes, I read books. I did. I must say, I read books. I ordered every single MLM book I could find. Luckily, we didn't have the internet. Well, we did have it, but Amazon didn't have a lot of books. So I ordered whatever I could find, which wasn't a lot. And then I went to Barnes and Nobles so long since I've been to Barnes and Nobles and went to the self-help section and I bought every MLM book I could find and then every self-help book that I could afford and took them with me back home and I read those. So by the time I was probably in my mid 30s, I had over 200 direct selling MLM books in my bookshelves. So I've read a few of them. But I only read a few of them by the time I hit 25, maybe 10, 20. Some self-help books. I do believe in listening to audios, uh, watching videos because they lift you up, they inspire you. If you're intentively listening to them, you will pick up where you need to improve from those, and then that will accelerate your career. So there was some of that. We did put on events. We were radically all in on selling event tickets. I wish I could tell you because every year for 20 years at this time, I've told people, you got to get a ticket to the global event. And I am going to say that, but you have to stay home because we have no space for you. We're so sold out that I have a couple of people that asked me, and one of them is here actually. Shauna is here. She said, I really need to go to the event, but I didn't get a ticket yet. Is there any way you can get me a ticket? And I promised her I'll be back in about a week. I'm still not back to her because I don't know how to get her a ticket. I mean, I literally don't know how to because we have. 4,000, probably 700 people right now coming, and with the absolute maximum capacity in the room, we can seat 4,000. So that's sold out. I mean, that's literally sold out. So I I will urge all of you get an online ticket. Don't plan on coming to Oslo unless you already have your plans, but bring as many to your home. Watch it together because it's going to be a massive impact. It's going to be so much fun. And if you already have your airline tickets and hotel booked, and you don't have ticket, well, then I'll be helping you shopping around in the black market to see if we can find one because I don't have any. I got to convince somebody to stay home. And you know, the more you convince somebody to stay home, the more they want to go. They go crazy. Like they just want to go because it's interesting. Like through my entire career, we've talked about it's going to be sold out, but it never quite happened like this time and one time before. I've had it happen one time before. And we had an audience for 300 people, so it wasn't for 4,000. Room for 300, and it was actually 700 people that showed up. I was 22, 23 years old, and that was the day momentum hit my business and it changed everything for like yeah, it changed everything so much. I was never the same after that because all of a sudden the business had a much larger growth than I was able to impact, which means that it was the system that drove the momentum and enthusiasm of other people's success, not my enthusiasm that drove the duplication in the all-in attitude between the people. And I think that's coming to provision here in Oslo this year, at least in many countries. Then obviously we're in a much bigger marketplace today. We were in a small 20 million people marketplace back then. Right now we're in 51 countries with including India and China. So we're like in a 4.5 billion people marketplace at this point. So momentum can go a lot further. But so there was some more things, obviously, than just the two a day. But I think the two a day, without that, my income wouldn't have been the same. So I built multiple more lines because I had something specific that kept me on track. And then also a lot of my people, without the 2 a day, I don't know if they would have made it through because the first three, four, five people they sponsored wasn't ready to go. So it was maybe on person 12 or 16 or 18, somewhere down the line. That's where they found the people that was really ready to build the business together with them. So that's my little plea with you in the middle of the month. Stay true to that system 5 days a week. If you're not ready to commit for 90 days yet, okay, commit to the end of September. Close out this month and see where it takes you, and then consider making a new commitment for October, and then maybe a new commitment for November. Uh, but I think it would change everything in your team if everyone in your team got onto this. And then we are all into this. What we're doing as a company on a very high level. It's not like an Elon Musk, which on this podcast, it was kind of funny because I said some people earlier today talking about Starlink, and I told about technology, and then first time I officially heard him say that 2 years from now, your phone, every phone that is brand new 2 years from now has a new signal system in it, so you can communicate from anywhere on the planet directly to the satellite, back down to anywhere on the planet without having any device in between, which is like a technology that is just absolutely insanely revolutionary. So you're on a deserted island. It doesn't matter that there is no cell phone coverage because there is cell phone coverage on every deserted island on the planet. So if you think about being wherever you are in the world, there is like for sure full, at least you can watch Netflix as the search team is looking for you, unless you want to save your battery, which I think a couple of years from now there will be easy solar chargers. If he launches a phone, you'll have a solar charger just in case you get stranded somewhere in the universe. You got to charge until they can come and pick you up again. Uh, Jokes aside on the universe thing, but not at that level, but at the level of where we want to impact the human diet. I do believe that we are one of, if not the most revolutionary company out there. And we're going to talk and we're going to launch some of those things at the event that is coming up in just about a month from now. And I'm really excited about that. Or investment plan for what we need to build over the next 25 years. It's about $3 to $4 billion we got to invest into creating it. But with that investment, we would be able to supply 100 million people with the best quality product to balance people on the planet. And that's exciting to finally be working on a level. I love sales. I love that a lot. I love just building teams. I love that a lot. I love personal development. But I also love innovations and truly being part of creating something that impacts both the planet, but also the health of humans for the upcoming overseeable future. And I think that with what we're doing, 100 million customers, hopefully in a few years from now, like right now when I feel this knot in my stomach, you know that when you say, okay, it's still stressful to say that we're going to do it 25 years from now. It still is like this knot in my stomach. Are we really the people that would pull this off? But I do think we will, because every time somebody takes a test, demand for what we sell goes up. So every time somebody takes a test, demand goes up. So one more person takes the test, demand goes up. So we don't fill demand as fast as we create demand. And when you then create the very best product, which we already have done, that exists on a planet for omegas, and then you drive up the demand and then you sell it at an incredibly affordable price, $45 a month for something that does more for your health than like, or let's be specific, does more for the health of your cell membranes than nearly all the food you eat combined. And that's $45. That's very affordable. So inside of a diet, everyone should be able to afford this because you can cut something else that does less for your health. Like you can cut beer, wine, sodas, anything that have artificial sweetening in it. You can cut anything that has trans fat in it. Like all of those things I know I asked you to cut, you get more healthy from cutting them. Okay. So I'm asked you, you actually will live longer, happier, just by cutting those foods that I just mentioned. And then you spend the money on this instead, and it literally costs you nothing, and it improves your health from two sides, what you cut away and what you add. And then every time somebody does that, they've taken a test and it drives up demand, so the market becomes bigger. So I hope that one day I'll be able to say it without a knot in my stomach, but rather with a laughter that we're gonna do so much more. That's like 100 million. That is a low ball, scarcity thinking goal. It's not that yet, but maybe one day. Hey, I've been talking here, Karla,
That's
for
okay,
45
Orion.
minutes.
We love everything you're saying. Now, you started with talking about, the two a day brings freedom my way. And if people just, if they're not sure about the 90-day run, start here, get going. And if you just do, the two runs, continue to do that, you can hit the president level in your 10-year time. I love all of that. But I also have people on here, and I can see people writing that are on the other side that also want to run. I love Angel Fletcher wrote in here, yeah, but double digits a day keeps the commissions coming my way. Some of us are like all in, ready to run, and some people in
I-
the group
I'm
of
only talking minimum number. I'm not, but I'm talking about duplication in the team. So what you do is important. But if you can get 1,000 people doing two a day, that's 2,000 new contacts a day. That's 10,000 a week. That's 40,000 in a month. That's 500,000 in a year. If a third of them signs up, you're president by, let me see, October, November, December. So it goes pretty quickly if you get a large number of people doing a small action every day for a consistent period of time.
I think that's probably the biggest key that people need to write down is that. But there's also, what are some of the stories that you've heard of people in a 90-day run that have really hit second, third? What are some of the greatest stories of what can happen when people go all in, have the ambition, and really do just do it for 90 days? Do you have any?
So so there is like specific stories, so many, so I can't share all of them. But if I say type of stories, it's two
Mhm.
things that comes to my mind when it comes to a 90-day run. So let's say that goes from an event to an event. So one type of story that comes up is the success story. And that's like I could take a Mika, is a Finnish guy many years ago, came into an event, was a silver at the time. So silver is when you have a team of about 75 customers, or you've just signed up two or three people in 1 month, depending on how you created the volume. And then he goes out, and in the next 2 to 3 months, he has Royal Crown. So and there is many stories similar to that. More common is that you come in as a silver and you go executive. That's very common. Come in as a silver, go diamond is fairly common. Come in as an executive and you go diamond. So when you do a 90-day run where you and everyone that you have on your team elevates the activity to the maximum that you can do in addition to what you're already doing, you're seeing so much more results than if you're just like surviving through it, or you don't have an organized plan. You don't have like we're all gonna attack at the same time. I'll give you guys my only American example of this. I've told it before, some of you will remember it, but that was when I was an exchange student in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And I went down to the football field, and then you guys have this ball that is not a ball, and I don't understand why you call it football because you hold it in your hand. So it's me at 17, and then I take the thing and I look at it, and I was a goalie for most of my career, midfielder or goalie. That was two positions I played. So I took the thing and then I kicked it. And I just kicked it randomly, and then someone threw it back to me. Then I kicked it again. And then coach came over and said, "Hey, can you kick between those two poles? We call that the goal." And I was like, who on earth like puts the goal up in the air? I mean, the opposite way around. Like, come on, somebody. And I took the ball and I kicked it through the two poles. And then he said, "Can you do that again?" Took the ball, kicked it through the two poles. And then he said, "Can you do it again?" Took the ball, kicked. I mean, I've been kicking a ball like that my entire life. It was just a little bit out of shape. So it was okay. I could kick the ball. So he said, "You run the varsity team." And I said, "What's the varsity team?" I had no idea, and then they gave me all this padding and a helmet, and it's my first game. And I'm supposed to go in there, take the ball, and kick the ball. And people are used to me doing that so fast, but I'd never played a real game before. So my team doesn't act as a team because they're used to me being so quick that it would be over before they would have to move. But then I get scared, and when you get scared, then you become so slow. So I have like, I don't know how many else on the other side, but everyone that was on the other side had their helmets directed towards my helmet. I still had the ball, and boom, I was laying on the ground with the ball, and lots of helmets hitting me, so to say. It was terrible. And I'm probably exaggerating the story. But as a young teenage kid, that's how it felt. And then coach said, "What happened to the team? You got to give him a second. You got to, like, defense, you got to." And they didn't act together as a team. So even though I was incredible at what I did, I didn't get the time to do what I was supposed to do. And a 90-day run is to get people to act as a team so that everyone gets to do what they're supposed to do. So that's the one story that is incredible. Those that make a run and they go from silver to diamond, I love that. And then they can go from there to wherever they want to go. But the other story is those that have three customers and then they're back to an event 90 days later and they still have their three customers because they didn't give up on themselves. And that's equally important, that we're a community that brings people along for the journey until they're ready to make their all-in decision and change their lives. So we got to have a little bit of both. So the people that are ahead, push them to the maximum, use this fall to leverage everything that they've got in their team. But then people that are not ready yet, recognize them for what they have, for their willingness to still be there, and keep them around because at one point it will be them that drives the business. And I was that kid for 4 years that couldn't move the goalpost, that couldn't get those results, but I showed up and I showed up and I showed up. And then at one point, it was my turn to lead. And this might be your turn to lead. And then you go all in and you're going to get amazing results together with your upline team. But if it's not your time to lead, I still welcome you to Oslo, the online ticket only. The others are sold out. Or if you have a ticket and you're one of those that are just fighting to keep 10 customers, I love for you to sit through Oslo. Maybe this is the time where you get it, where you get the piece that you needed. So when I say when you get it, I don't mean it in an arrogant way, but you get the piece that is missing to complete your puzzle so that you're able to go out and do what you need to do to achieve your targets, your goals, and have your win and become successful in your way.
I love that, Orion. Thank you so much. And I also experienced that even if you don't accomplish everything that you wanted to in those 3 months, there is a lot that happens in the months after. So it's an exciting time. But Orion, we want to thank you so much for taking your time as you have set so many visions for this company and where we want to go. And we want to be with that on that impact working our way to hitting that 1 million customers. One at a time, we're all here. So I'm going to let everybody, I'm unmuting everyone so you can also say thank you. Thank you, Orion, for taking your time. And we're looking forward to the next 90 days. Here we go.